My name is Priwalia, and I have the pleasure today of introducing Nick Pfenning of Equipment Dudes. So when I first met Nick, I thought, this guy gets it. He's worked the big desks at private equity and supported the companies that they serve. But most importantly, Nick and Equipment Dudes looked at an underserved industry, especially relevant to Ohio and the Midwest, of builders and operators. He looked at the machinery that powers physical development. We heard those words being used earlier today. And he said, we can do better. Nick is authentic, he's deeply capable, and he knows how to build companies that scale. We heard that over and over again. You need founders, and then you need operators. And Nick has that unique combination. So let's welcome Nick of Equipment Dudes, who is transforming the way that heavy equipment is bought and sold.
Thank you, Pri. Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Pfenning, CEO and founder of Equipment Dudes. As Pri said, we're modernizing the way that the used heavy equipment market moves transactions and moves equipment between buyer and seller. Traditionally, the market has been opaque and fragmented, and we're using automation and intelligence to bring trust and efficiency to an outdated market. We're building the car gurus meets OpenAI for heavy equipment. Every buyer and seller in our industry has at least one story about a used equipment deal gone wrong. Some of them have many stories. And when you look at the options, it becomes obvious why. On the seller side of the equation, they're either trying to sell to passive marketplaces, to fickle buyers, wasting a lot of time and money, or they're forced to use auction platforms where they're giving up to 50% of their value through forced sales and high fees. Buyers don't really have it any better. On the buyer side of the equation, they're buying from private sellers or at auction, typically unverified assets from unknown sellers, which presents a huge risk in terms of potential downtime, potential hidden repair costs, which drives lower revenue, lost wages, and potentially damaged reputation as well. For a buyer, to mitigate that, their options are either buy a brand new piece of equipment at 3 to 5 times the cost of a high quality used piece, or they can spend weeks or months, basically make a full-time job out of searching for used assets and flying all over the region of the country to inspect each piece one by one. So a huge amount of value is being lost, and Equipment Dudes is solving that. So big problem, even bigger opportunity. At $200 billion in annual transaction revenue and almost $20 billion in collected transaction fees every year in the US alone, it's bigger than the used car market in the US. Unlike used cars, there's no Carvana, there's no car gurus. Nobody's really stepped in to use technology to drive efficiency within an inefficient market. Intelligence and automation has made the proverbial iron hot, and Equipment Dudes is poised to strike. So due to the complexity and just the natural skepticism in our industry, the lack of trust, we've built our platform in phases. Phase 1, which is our service-led marketplace, is live today. We're doing real transactions. We've done over $3.5 million in closed and funded deals. What we built with the service marketplace was we used it to validate the market opportunity and also to learn directly from buyers and sellers what the specific customer pain points were. As a result, we've learned that there's a huge demand for an end-to-end transaction solution, but intelligence and automation are key to making that solution scalable and capital efficient. We've learned from dozens of closed transactions in phase 1 to develop our phase 2, which is our fully automated intelligent workflow solution. Our AI uses verified third-party inspections to build trust between buyers and to remove friction, a major point of friction in private party buyer-seller deals. Our phase 3 will start to layer in our third-party ecosystem, which includes financing, freight, warranties, and inspections. Pricing and negotiation intelligence and escrow de-risk the transaction for both sides of the equation, as well as ensure fair outcomes for both the buyer and the seller. So we're not just a concept, we're a viable business. We've been operating for a couple of years. We've done over $3.5 million in closed transactions. We have big customers like United Rentals and the Boring Company in Las Vegas, and a significant traction here in the Midwest, especially. We've got just under $20 billion of transaction volume in our current sales pipeline, and we're generating a significant number of buyer leads for the sellers that are currently onboarded onto our platform. Currently, we have 35 sellers that are active in our marketplace today, and we've worked with over 75 total customers all over the country. We have an active partnership ecosystem with the financing, inspections, warranty, and freight, which helps reduce friction and create stickiness with the platform as well. So bottom line with the incumbents, they typically are extracting value out of the process. We're returning value back to owners through an efficient, automated solution that's capital efficient and highly scalable. How we make money? We've got a pretty straightforward revenue model, 3 revenue streams that are aligned as we scale market liquidity. Sellers pay a subscription fee to use our platform and onboard equipment. Transaction fees align with actual marketplace activity. And then our third-party ecosystem provides another stable and expandable source of revenue, and again, also produces stickiness for our platform. As market liquidity scales, monetization naturally falls. We have a balanced go-to-market, which includes SEO, social media, email, as well as paid search. By far, referrals and partnerships have emerged as our highest quality lead source, especially on the seller side of the equation. So as we look to scale market liquidity rapidly at a low customer acquisition cost, our plan is to focus on very dense markets like Florida and Texas and high velocity projects where we can create referral flywheels. Our platform is built by seasoned operators with deep domain and technical expertise. Jeff and Sean, our lead technical advisors, bring marketplace builds to the table, as well as several successful exits. I myself have spent over 20 years in leadership in legacy industries, working for a Fortune 500 aerospace company located here in Cleveland, as well as several private equity-backed manufacturing companies. So we have both the discipline and the expertise to develop the platform and scale it effectively. We're raising $1.5 million on a safe. Those funds will be used to develop our platform intelligence, scale our go-to-market strategy so we can scale our market liquidity rapidly. Over the next 12 months, we're looking to validate the market on our intelligent automated solution on our way to our goal of $2 million in ARR in our next round of funding. Our mission is very simple: to bring efficiency and trust to a market that historically has been fragmented and outdated. Once we do that, liquidity starts to flow again and everybody wins. Happy to answer any questions.
Great job, Nick. 1 or 2 questions from the audience?
My name is Rob Winings. And on the revenue side, the $3.5 million, that was the total gross on the equipment, and you were getting fees primarily just from subscriptions, or was there a percentage of the asset, or did you net 3.5 out of the whole?
So no, that's a good question. 3.5 is our transaction volume. So our fees typically are somewhere between 10 and 15%. Although some of our transactions we net a little bit higher, so it's a little bit of a value-based pricing model. As we move to our subscription-based software, obviously the subscription revenue will become a more significant portion of our revenue.
Thank you. 1 more question?
Who would buy the subscription? Who would buy the subscription, sellers or buyers or both?
Sellers, primarily. Sellers would pay the subscription fee and the transaction cost on the back end. We work with private fleet owners, also rental companies like United Rentals. Used equipment dealerships also use our platform pretty regularly as their main focus is on selling new equipment. So there's smaller private party type deals as well as significant enterprise market as well.
Thank you. And thank you, Nick. 1 more round of applause for Nick.